The election could skyrocket housing prices, what you need to know about the housing market. In this video, I'm going to discuss things that you need to know that no one is telling you about the effects of an election, how you can prepare for these situations, how you can still become a homeowner, and how you do not need to rely on the government or whoever's going to be the president to help you become a homeowner. Listen to the video. I would watch to the end to get all the great information that you need. Have your notebooks and pen handy to take copious notes. So in this time, we are getting a lot of spam messages. We're getting a lot of people sending us messages, emails. We're seeing a lot of advertisements in reference to the elections of 2024. Also getting a ton of people who say they're going to wait until the election is over because they don't know what's going to happen before they purchase a home. This is not a political YouTube channel. My thoughts are my thoughts, and I won't try to push my thoughts on anyone. However, I will give you hard fact data to let you know how the market typically goes. So whether it's President Trump or Vice President Kamala Harris, neither one controls the real estate market. They don't control whether sellers have the ability to sell their house for a specific rate. Price. They have no bearing on what the mortgage interest rates are, because even though the Federal Reserve is a federal entity, the Federal Reserve isn't controlled by the President of the United States, nor are mortgage interest rates controlled by the Federal Reserve. So those don't go together, right? The other thing is, over the last 8 elections, interest rates have increased and housing prices have increased over the course of the election. So when the president comes in or the acting president comes in, you got to remember they may be elected in November. However, they don't become president until January of that next year. So they don't have any control over the particular real estate market, right? And during this time, it's also a peak season where people start to slow down looking at houses, typically because they think it's a slowdown in the market because it's holiday time. So with all of those things coming together, it's going to have a huge effect on the real estate market. I truly believe that we're going in the right direction in terms of inflation coming down. Interest rates had come down some over the last 2 weeks, and they went back up after the Federal Reserve announced that they were going to decrease interest rates. So those interest rates are not controlled by mortgages. Those interest rates control personal loans, student loan debt, home equity lines of credit, credit card debt as well, right? It doesn't control the mortgages. With that being said, if you're on the fence and you're waiting until there's a new president elected before you decide you want to purchase a home, I think you're wasting your time. I think you're wasting the time. Typically, interest rates go up, housing prices go up, and you typically see like a 15% increase in housing prices. With that being said, right now we're starting in different pockets of the country. We're starting to see inventory stay on the market even longer. But we're also seeing more inventory come on the market. That's where people are looking to make a move, begin to sell. And also houses aren't moving because people, like sellers, are looking to put their house on the market to prepare to sell. Buyers are stagnated and waiting because they don't know what's going to happen after November the 4th. With that being said, what you can do to prepare is to begin to work on your budget. If your goal is to become a homeowner, and I'm not here to say, hey, buy a house before the market changes, buy a house after. What I am telling you is, hey, whoever becomes president does not change the housing at all. You can Google it. You can look it up. They don't change what interest rates are because they're president, and they don't change whether a seller's going to sell their house for more or less. They just have no control of that. Right? So what you can do is you can begin to start preparing for home ownership if you're going to wait. Work on a budget. Work on a budget to make sure you have money set aside for that's saved. You need to also take a look at, okay, what are we spending? Are we spending too many funds on food? Are we spending too many funds on entertainment? What do we need to cut back on in order for us to be able to save more money, so we have money for a down payment, we have money for closing costs? What are things that we can do to get more money in? Do we pick up a second job and help us pay down on debt? Do we contribute more to our 401k so we can help utilize that when we go into it? There's a lot of things that could happen. Now, one thing that Vice President Harris says that she is looking to implement is a $25,000 credit to first-time home buyers for purchasing a home. And that's great. However, we also had that same thing 4 years ago when President Biden wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to implement maybe a first generation credit for first time home buyers. And here we are 4 years later and he can't get it passed. Not because he's not trying to get it passed. You got to understand, the person who is president of the United States has some power. However, Senate and Congress have to agree and pass those laws as well. So they have to be voted on. And what President Biden was unable to do was he was unable to get the Senate and Congress to be able to agree on whether they would have the ability to allow him to have that tax credit. It never was passed. Vice President Kamala Harris has instituted that she'd like to do the same thing. But if she doesn't have the House or the Senate to back her and be able to, or have enough people to be able to back and pass that tax credit, then she's going to be stuck in the same position of President, whoever president or President Harris or Vice President Harris at the time, to be able to have that credit to go to buyers. So, with that being said, don't depend on the government to give you any type of credit. It's going to be very tough for whoever's in office to pass, whether it's, former President Trump or Vice President Harris. Whatever rules or laws that they're trying to implement on housing so they're vastly different in what they're looking to do. President Trump has not mentioned much about housing and affordable housing. Vice President Harris has mentioned about housing and her objective, but it's nothing that's going to happen instantly. Do you want to wait for a $25,000 credit that may never come? And then when you finally figure out, hey, that credit isn't coming, that I am going to now be looking at either slightly higher interest rates. And let's say interest rates don't go higher. Let's say they do go lower. Let's say rates do go lower based off of what we're going through right now and things changing in the economy. However, if interest rates go lower, housing prices could potentially continue to go up. Or it just may not change, meaning, what your housing is does not affect what you're willing to pay. So if you qualify for a $500,000 house, but you're not willing to pay, and let's say it's a $4,000 a month mortgage, then you're not going to get a $500,000 house. So what your ability to pay and qualify for does not have anything to do with whether housing prices somewhat increase or decrease. What I will say is there are programs available now that can give you some sort of credit. It's not going to necessarily be a grant, but it's something in the form of a down payment assistance. In different parts of the country, different cities, different municipalities, there are programs here to aid you in helping you get money to help you with the down payment to get you into home ownership. And then in terms of interest rates, and interest rates are what they are right now. And if you wait until you look for them to get lower, there's never been a time where interest rates are super low and housing prices are low, right? They do have an effect on what your monthly payment is. However, no one knows how to be able to time that out properly. If you have stayed to the end of this video, like I asked you in the beginning, do me a huge favor. Click the like button if you like the information in this video. If you have any questions pertaining to what I discussed in the video, do me a huge favor. Comment below. My link to contact me and information will be below. And hey, do me a favor. Just get out there and apply and see what happens. I'm Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender. Have a great day.